Thank you, Brother Kasim, for many insights which I actually didn't have, even though I have tried to read this agenda 2063. If I may ask, how many of us have read it? Actually read it. Seen it or read it? Maybe it's easier. To be truthful. Thank you very much. I have to confess, I read only the abridged version. And the abridged version is already 24 pages. And this Twitter age, people don't read long documents any longer. If you want your thing to be read, make it brief. Our attention span has been diminished completely. A long email of 2 pages, people put it aside in order to read it later, and this later never comes. Right? Does that sound familiar? In offices and so that's one of the challenges, because I thought even including the solemn declaration made it much longer than the agenda itself, which would have been easier to read without. Anyway, that's what we have, and I had prepared this for another place, but I think it's the same thing, therefore I'm going to repeat what I have said. And I see 3 ways the churches can play a role. The first one is theological discernment. This is what they expect from us. Africans are very religious, and many decisions are made on religious convictions. And some of them are really funny these days, like locking people in a church and killing them, as we heard this morning, because they are going to heaven tomorrow and Jesus doesn't come, you ban them. And I read today that there was a place where the building collapsed and somebody said there was a mysterious plane which nobody could see. And people still believe it. There are some people eating snakes and grasses somewhere at the order of a religious leader. So this religious conviction can be really strong. And that's where I believe our churches must engage theologically as giving guidance to the spiritual assets which people use to make decisions, even for investment and development. I give 3 examples. First one, the problem of migration, which unfortunately Agenda 2063 doesn't really deal with. I see this as a big deficit. It has even religious background. I heard that some places people are brought into churches and blessed to go conquer Europe because they are missionaries. Every place you step your foot, God has given you, go in God's peace, and it's a calling. And people go die in the desert or in the Mediterranean, and we never hear about them any longer, right? And those who fail never come back. And if they come back, they're never given time to give testimony of failure in their churches. The second problem is population. And this, I'm very sad that the Agenda 2063 doesn't say anything about it. We have a crisis. Tanzania, which had 7 million people at independence, today with 60 million in 50 years. And yesterday we were hearing majority, more than 60% of the population are below 16. What are they going to do? And we are not saying anything. And you have religious leaders saying, just produce, because this is the order of God, command of God, go and reproduce and fill the earth. As if God has ordered each one of us to fill the earth himself or herself. The order is there, yes, but not for you alone, and not for all our generation. These are theological issues. Family planning. In Tanzania now it's a controversial discussion because our president said publicly, we have bananas, we have potatoes and milk, let us produce, no problem. I think it's because of religious conviction. Let's have these theological discussions. And the last one, the power of supernatural power, the role of supernatural powers in our lives. This is a theological problem, and I believe mainly for Africa of all the continents. We need some theological guidance for people that it's not just God, it's not just miracles. You need to work, you need to plan, you need to do things. This business of praying in order to be fed, praying in order to succeed, to get promotions, praying and being blessed and sending money to some big guys so that you can get a promotion and they buy a car you want. And people think they are going to succeed because of this kind of stupid theology. Where is the church? The second role, I think, is that of popularizing Agenda 2063 and promoting its monitoring and implementation. I'm not so sure how many in Tanzania, even members of parliament, have read it. One thing I admire about other continents, particularly Europe, America not so much, they are serious about issues. Before they decide, they really discuss. Have you followed this discussion of Brexit? Have you? Even little students taking on the streets and the discussion of whether they are going to, how they are going to go out of it and not, has taken already now 2 years and it's not done. There is serious engagement of people in the policy, but unfortunately, in our case, maybe because of resources, I don't know, we don't have this habit of discussing serious issues even before we decide. Therefore, there are so many things which they have decided, which, to be honest, I doubt whether they knew it or they were serious about it. Good example, in the implementation plan, in the agenda itself, I noticed 2 goals which had a date. One of them is to establish a free trade area by 2017. And this is done in 2015, right? For heaven's sake, what were these people thinking? That in 2 years, from 2015 to 2017, you will have a free trade area for all of Africa. To be honest, I doubt the seriousness of this discussion. Even then. Of course it hasn't. And Kagame, who is I like this guy because he's very determined, committed to Pan-Africanism. And the conference in Kigali who said, yeah, we must now adopt all of it. How many have ratified? Maybe 1? Oh, it says now it's 6. But they had agreed 2017. Must be there. Another one, which was supposed to be this year, December, we abolish all visa requirements for all Africans everywhere. Free movement of people. How do you feel about that? From your struggle to come here. So I don't know how many have done that. I heard that 2 or 1.
There are about 5.
5, eh? And these are, I really love to know these because they make our lives easier. It's easier for me, it's easier for a Swiss, a German, to go to Ethiopia than a Tanzanian, and vice versa. in Ethiopia or Sierra Leone. We had an event in Tanzania, and one of our staff in Geneva wanted to go to Tanzania. They said, sorry, and one from Ethiopia, the Tanzanian embassy, they said, no, these are special countries, I don't know what is special about it, and they need special pass clearance, which has to be brought from Dar es Salaam, and at the end, they couldn't attend. But all the others, all Europeans, all Americans, they can go and get visa on arrival. But the Sierra Leonean, no. But still, both countries have signed this thing. That's why I think the church has to know and design a mechanism of how we hold our governments to account, especially when there are deadlines and these 10-year plans. We should be able to take initiative and say, hey, our government, didn't you say this? What happened? I think that's our role again. And the last one is what I call changing the narrative about Africa. What I like most about the Agenda 2063, it does not talk about problems. And having this always negative perspective of Africa, which even we Africans have. When we talk about ourselves, many times we talk about what is not there. But the Agenda 2063 is talking about where we have come from, this we have accomplished, this we have accomplished, this we have accomplished. There is no colonialism, there is no apartheid, there is no this, there is no this, we have this, we have this, we have this. But in general, when I think of our meeting yesterday and today, have we said so much about what is good? About us? There has been conflict, where there is fighting, where the government is not doing this, where there is this and this and this. In one of the comments when we are talking about churches in reconciliation, I wanted to say, instead of saying all the time, we must criticize the government, we must talk to the powers, this is the approach, criticism. But when do we praise? I take an example of my country because this is what I know best. Tanzania. In my own lifetime, which is okay, getting not so short, but not too much. I ask myself, where are the homeless people? Who are people without a place to stay? I really don't know if they exist. When I was a kid, we were not allowed to wear shoes in school because it will distract others, because most of them didn't, right? And now, it will be very difficult to find any child without shoes in school. Thinking of the distances the time we need to travel within our own country, it has changed tremendously. It is very difficult in my area to find a house with grass roof because everybody is modernizing their own houses. And how many students do we have in universities? At independence, there were only 12 university graduates in the whole country. And today, more than 100,000 students every year. They are at the same time in school. And looking at the schools everywhere in the villages, and who is not having access to education? Where do you have to travel, 50 kilometers to go to a dispensary? These things don't exist any longer. So if you look really objectively, there is a lot of development we are making. But all the time, we look at ourselves only critically, only negatively, which again we instill in our own kids. Therefore, when they grow up, they think the only option is to leave the continent because somewhere else is better. And churches are not helpful in this because all the time You will look at these small projects we present to Europe for funding. In my church, there was one diocese which presented a proposal to some missions to establish a pig farm for 5 pigs. Yes? And one of the bishops who was a farmer said, please, that's a disgrace, take it out, I'll give you the 5 pigs. In Africa. We must defend our dignity by saying what is, I don't say we should lie, but we should say what is true, but what is good as well. There's a lot of bad news about Africa, I tell you. I stayed in Europe for 13 years. And everywhere I move, they see me, and I think my brother here as well, with his dignity. They follow you even in the store because they think you are a thief or an illegal immigrant or a refugee or anything, not professional, because you are black. Now, if all these people are saying all these bad things about us, and we add to that ourselves, instead of saying what we are achieving, what are we doing? I went to Latin America. You see this caravan going to US these days. There are countries like El Salvador and Honduras. If in a town there is a day when nobody is killed, it's a miracle. Seriously. But go there, they'll never tell you. And there is no other continent which describes itself as poor than Africa. We must change this narrative. Instead of poverty alleviation, we know we are a poor continent. And I say, my goodness, my father never had any bank account. He was a blacksmith. We had a little money all the time. But if a neighbor would come and tell him that you are poor, what do you think would happen? And I think this is not all of Africa. Someone comes and says, you are poor. What do you say? You fight. It's an insult, right? So how does it happen that we ourselves, in project write-ups, in our speeches, we describe ourselves as poor? Instead of poverty alleviation, why don't we talk of development and wealth creation and things like that? Progress, because progress never ends. But these demeaning descriptions of ourselves, we must change this narrative and tell the world, no, this is what we want. And some people come with these funny proposals, because we describe ourselves like that. I was in Europe once, and a little boy came to me and gave me 5 Swiss francs, Swedish krona, and said, take this, I think it will help someone. Swedish krona is half a dollar, right? Because we are pronouncing ourselves, we live on $1 a day, we are so poor. So if it's a poor person, like on the street, if you give them 50 cents, that's fine. I think the church must contribute to changing this narrative. And I believe AACC has a role to play in that as well. Thank you very much.